Good morning, children. Welcome to your English class. Today in this class, I will be discussing with you the poem Abou ben Adhem by Leigh Hunt. Children, before starting the discussion of the poem, let me remind you that you have to revise your text thoroughly so that you can quote important lines and keywords in your paper. Now, before starting this session, let us see the objectives. By the end of this session, you will be able to understand the summary of the poem Abou ben Adhem, the historical background of the poem, the style and form in which the poem is written, the literary devices used in the poem. Now let us read about the author. Leigh Hunt, 1784 to 1859, was a part of the Romantic movement in English literature. Though he could not receive much acclaim and popularity. Acclaim means praise. He was a poet, essayist, editor, writer, and critic. Children, critic is a person who judges the merits of literary or artistic works, especially one who does so professionally. Now, let us see about the poem. Abou ben Adhem is a poem with religious overtones and a fervent moral lesson. Religious overtones means having a connection to religion that is not directly expressed. Fervent means used to describe beliefs that are strongly and sincerely felt. It conveys the idea that the service of humanity is the best. It is through love and care of our fellow human beings that we can receive the love of God. So children, Leigh Hunt's Abou ben Adhem is a poem published in 1838. The poem celebrates the humanitarian principle of loving fellow men rather than indulging in mere abstract love of God. Children, the poem raises an important question, that is, how we can love God whom we do not see, if we do not love our fellow men whom we see. Now let us proceed. According to history, Abou bin Adhem, born in 777 AD, was the king of Balkh. He led a noble life according to the principles and teachings of the Holy Quran. He abandoned his throne to save his fellow beings. In fact, not only Islam but every religion teaches love of humanity. Abandoned means left. Children, Abou bin Adhem's real name is Ibrahim bin Adhem, also known as Ibrahim Balkhi, is one of the most prominent Sufi saints. He was born in Balkh and was the king of Balkh. He renounced his throne and chose asceticism. He was a virtuous man and led his life on the teachings of Holy Quran. Now let us see further. The poem consists of one single incident involving Abou ben Adhem, a religious person, not to be strictly identified with the king Abou bin Adhem. One night, an angel told the good man that he was writing the names of those who love God. Abou wanted to know if his name was in the list. When he was told that it was not, Abou requested the angel to write his name in the list of those persons who love God's fellow men. The next night, he was pleasantly surprised to find his name on the top of the list of men whom God had blessed. So children, in this poem, there is an incident. Abou ben Adhem saw an angel in his room one night. He was not frightened or scared, for he had belief in God. And seeing an angel, he was happy, but just wanted to know what angel was writing in his book. When he was informed that the angel was making a list of people who loved God, Abou just wanted to know whether his name was also included. But he was informed that his name was not there. He only requested the angel to write his name in the list. When Abou saw the angel the next day, he inquired the purpose of visit, and he was totally surprised and happy to know that his name was on the top of the list of men whom God had blessed. So I hope that you are clear with the brief summary. Now let us understand the poem in detail. The poem Abou ben Adhem is one of the most popular inspirational poems. It aims at giving a moral message, that is, the love of humanity is the best. Those who love and serve their fellow men receive God's blessings. The form of the poem is parable. Now, what is parable, children? A simple story used to illustrate a moral or spiritual lesson as told by Jesus in the Gospels. So, children, what kind of poem is Abou ben Adhem? It is an inspirational poem. What message is given in the poem? The message of love of humanity is the best is highlighted in the poem. Okay, children, in which form is the poem written? The poem is written in the form of a parable. So that is a simple story used to illustrate a moral or spiritual lesson as told by Jesus in the Gospels. Now let us see further. It narrates a brief incident to bring home the main idea. Once upon a time, there lived a man named Abou ben Adhem. He was a gentle and virtuous person. As he did noble deeds during the day, he would enjoy peaceful sleep. Virtuous means having or showing high moral standards. So children, in the poet tells us about a pious man named Abou ben Adhem who was a virtuous man. Now let us see further. One night he woke up from his sleep because of a dazzling light. He saw an angel writing something in a beautiful golden book. He asked the stranger what he was writing. The angel raised his head and replied in a very calm, sweet voice that he was writing the names of those persons who love God. Children, the poem describes an event in the life of whom? In the life of Abou ben Adhem. As one night he woke up from his deep, peaceful sleep and saw a beautiful angel in the moonlight, writing something in a golden book. Abou asked the angel in the room, what was he writing? The vision raised its head and looked at Abou with a face that evoked kindness. The angel answered that he was writing the names of all those who loved the Lord. Now let us see further. Abou became curious and wanted to know if his name was in that list. The angel said that it was not. Abou was a bit taken aback, but did not feel depressed. In a cheerful tone, he requested the angel to include his name in the list of those who loved their fellow men. The angel wrote his name and disappeared. Curious means eager to know. Taken aback means surprised. Cheerful means happy and optimistic. So children, here Abou curiously asked the angel if his name was there on the list. The angel replied in negative, which surprised Abou. But the next moment, he cheerfully prayed the angel would write his name as the one who loved his fellow men. In the next slide, let us read. The next night, the angel appeared again in Abou's room with a more dazzling light that woke Abou up. He showed up the list of those persons who were blessed by God. Abou's name topped the list. This reveals that God loves those who love their fellow humans. So, children, the next night the angel came again with a great amount of light and woke Abou. The angel showed him the names of those who had been blessed by God. Abou bin Adhem saw that his name appeared on the top of the list ahead of others. So children, I hope that you are clear with the summary of the poem. Now let us see the next slide. Theme: love for mankind. The poem Abou bin Adhem brings home the idea that real and true worship of God is to love mankind created by God. Those who love their fellow men are rewarded with God's love and blessings. Conversely, those who avoid, dislike, or hate their fellow human beings are also shunned by God. This is what the poet shows through a small incident in the life of Abou bin Adhem. Abou found his name at the top of the list of those persons who are blessed by God, even though his name did not figure in the list of those who love God. Conversely means contrarily. Shunned means ignored. So children, what is the true worship of God? The true worship of God is to love mankind created by Him. So children, the poem expresses love for God by simply loving fellow human beings. On the other hand, if they dislike their human beings, they are ignored by God. In the poem, Abou bin Adhem felt happy on finding his name on the top of the list who are blessed by God. Now let us see the next slide. The next theme. So the next theme is love of God. There are many people in this world who go to temples, churches, and other religious places and worship God. But many of them have no love or compassion for the poor. They simply avoid or even hate them. They do nothing to please them. They hope that by worshipping God, they will be blessed by God. Abou's story makes it clear that only those who do noble deeds for the welfare of others selflessly, out of love, receive God's love and blessings. Compassion means sympathetic pity and concern for others. Selflessly means in a way that is concerned more with the needs and wishes of others than with one's own. So children, the poem's main idea is finding the way to God. Many people go to temples, churches, and other religious places to worship God, but they dislike their fellow human beings. Such kind of people are rejected by God. So one should show love, compassion, and empathy to their fellow human beings as it is the real worship of God. Now let us proceed further. The next point is critical appreciation. So the first point in critical appreciation is title. The title of the poem Abou bin Adhem is simple and appropriate. The poem is about Abou bin Adhem and his virtuous life. There is nothing else in focus. Of course, we are reminded of a historical figure, Abou bin Adhem, the king of Balkh, who led a pious life according to the teachings of the Holy Quran. Pious means showing a deep belief in religion. So children, the title of the poem is apt. What do you mean by word apt? It means appropriate. It is set in a Middle Eastern country where we have a glimpse of the life of a godly man named Abou bin Adhem, who is visited by a divine messenger. Through this poem, we are reminded about Abou bin Adhem, the king of Balkh. But children, very importantly, we have to remember that in this poem, we are not talking about the king of Balkh. It is the poet who is representing himself as Abou bin Adhem. Now let us see further. Now, critical appreciation. Next point is message. The message of the poem is obvious. We should love humanity. We should cultivate fellow feelings and do everything to serve our fellow human beings. When we do so, God is pleased. God blesses us with His infinite love. Abou ben Adhem finds his name at the top of the list of those who are blessed by God. It is so because he has done many noble deeds and led a virtuous life. Obvious means clear. Humanity means the quality of being humane. Pleased means glad. So children, the poem gives us the message that God loves those who love their fellow men. So loving one's fellow man is more virtuous than loving the Almighty Himself. Therefore, in the poem, the angel in the first list writes names of those who love God, and in the second list of those whom God has blessed, which turns out to be a list of those who bring God's love to life by loving their fellow humans. Now let us see the next slide. In critical appreciation, the next point is inspirational poem. Abou ben Adhem is indeed one of the most inspirational poems. Its simplicity is heart-touching. No sane person can deny the truth it conveys. Even when it is religious in import, it is not strictly a religious poem. What it teaches is not confined to a particular time or region. Sane means a person of sound mind. Import means important. So children, Abou ben Adhem is an inspirational poem. It inspires you. So it teaches you a very important lesson, and which lesson it is? That is love humanity. Moreover, this poem appeals to every religion. So we are talking about Sufism, Sufi saint, but it belongs to all religion. Now next point. Now let us discuss style. So children, the poem is written in form of a parable. Abou ben Adhem is a kind of parable. A parable is a story told to convey a moral. In its structure, a parable is simple. It avoids too many figures of speech. Its aim is to touch your heart in such a way that you feel enlightened on some moral or spiritual issue. So children, Abou ben Adhem is a parable. Now what is a parable? It is a short story used to illustrate moral or spiritual lessons as told by Jesus in the Gospel. So the simple message which is given in the poem is that we should express love for God by simply loving their fellow human beings. Now let us see the next slide. Literary devices. So in literary devices, the first point is couplet form. So what is couplet? It is 2 lines of poetry that usually rhyme. Most of the religious poems use couplet form and the rhyme scheme AABB. This is what we find in the poem Abou ben Adhem. So children, Leigh Hunt wrote the poem in couplet form. A couplet is a literary device which can be defined as having 2 successive rhyme. A couplet is a literary device which can be defined as having 2 successive rhyming lines in a verse. It is important to remember that Leigh Hunt, as a poet of the Romantic movement, sheds all traditional restrictions on the couplet form known as the heroic couplet. The couplet structure in his hand becomes enjambed, line running on into line. Now let us quickly do the meanings. Romantic movement means a movement in literature and art during the late 18th and early 19th centuries that celebrated nature rather than civilization. The meaning of word heroic couplet. It is a traditional form for English poetry, commonly used for epic and narrative poetry. It refers to poems constructed from a sequence of rhyming pairs of iambic pentameter lines. Enjambed means ending part way through a sentence or clause which continues in the next. So children, Romantic movement was a literary movement that began in the 18th century. The moment was characterized by a celebration of nature and the common man. Leigh Hunt, as a poet of Romantic movement, did not follow traditional heroic couplet form used in the poetry. That is a pair of rhyming lines written in iambic pentameter, that is a line of verse with 5 metrical feet, each consisting of one short unstressed syllable and one stressed syllable. So here in the poem, the poet has used enjambment technique. In the poetry, it means moving over from one link to another without terminating punctuation mark. So seeing these lines, children, it will be more clear to you. The angel wrote and vanished the next night. See, the next night it is continuing in another line. It came again with a great wakening light and showed the names whom love of God had blessed. See, the line is starting from and it is not, this line is not complete and this is not starting with any subject. And lo, Ben Adhem's name led all the rest. See here again, the line, it is not starting with the subject, it is starting with the conjunction. So this is enjambment. Now next point is simile. There is one simile used to compare the splendor and freshness of the angel to that of the lily in bloom. Splendor means magnificent and splendid appearance. So where is the simile? And like a lily in bloom, an angel writing in a book of gold. So here it is a simile. Children, simile, what is simile? It means a word or phrase that compares something to something else using the word like or as. So in the poem, the poet has used simile. He has compared angel to a lily in bloom. So the next point is symbol. Children, it is a literary device that uses symbols, words, people, marks, location, or abstract ideas to represent something beyond the literal meaning. So here the poet has used these symbols. The first is the book of gold in which the angel was writing. What does it symbolize? It symbolizes the richness you encounter when you love God. Again, it is symbolized as it is the richness of the spirit. Next is wakening light. What does it symbolize? It symbolizes a state in which you achieve awareness of God. So children, I hope that you are clear with the summary and the form critical appreciation of the poem. Your homework is to revise the poem in detail, means you have to revise summary and critical appreciation of the poem Abou ben Adhem. Children, for better understanding, you have to read your text again so that you can quote important lines and keywords in your paper. Moreover, please watch your Robomates module of the poem Abou ben Adhem. Thank you so much, everyone.